So I've covered a lot about grant writing on this channel, but in this video, I want to get into some pro tips designed to really elevate your grant proposals and help them stand out. This video is great for folks who have done a bit of grant writing before or beginners looking for some extra guidance. So we just finished up our 5-day grant writing challenge, and I want to talk you through 5 tips and provide a few examples of how each might sound brought to life in an actual grant proposal too. Quick shout out to Instrumental for sponsoring this video and our 5-day grant writing challenge. If you're looking for more guidance and training, check out my website at changemakercafe.com for more upcoming events and opportunities, and of course, our Changemaker Accelerator program for nonprofit and social impact leaders. In a past video you might have seen, we talked about how important it is to be grant ready before you even write a single word on a grant application. That's because it's easy to get disqualified for grants if you don't meet their criteria and have certain things ready in advance. And I really don't want you to feel like you've wasted your time. So just as a recap, as we're getting into this, before you start writing grants, make sure you have all of your nonprofit documentation and strategy ready, from your IRS tax exemption letter to your board approved annual budget and project budgets, data on your impacts and your outcomes from the past couple of years, and other organizational materials like your mission statement, your vision, your history, and your list of your board of directors. And once you have all of that ready, finding the right fit grant opportunities is really critical. You can have the best program for educating kids in the world, but if you apply for grants that only focus on animals or the environment, you still won't get those grants just because your mission didn't match the funder's mission. So how do you find grant opportunities that are a good fit? It's all about finding funders whose issue areas, interests, and funding capacities align with your goals and needs. And we've talked about some of this in past videos. For those of you who did do our 5-day grant writing challenge, I showed you how to do all of that using your free trial of Instrumental, which is a super robust grants database and management platform. And of course, as I said, was a partner for this challenge. But just as a recap, I'll show you what that might look like. To get started, we'll set up a project in Instrumental, and the platform is going to instantly match us with dozens, maybe even hundreds of funding opportunities that are out there. First, select the county or state where your project is based. I'll choose Boone County, Kentucky. Then select your fiscal year. Mine runs from January 1st to December 31st, but you're going to enter whatever applies to your organization. Some have fiscal years that start in the summer, for example. You're going to click Save and Continue. The next thing you want to do is name your project. In Instrumental, matches are based on a specific project, not the organization as a whole. I'll name mine Animal Lovers since it's focused on animal welfare and I love animals. Click Save and Continue again. Now we're going to enter details about the project. In my case, it's a nonprofit project in collaboration with a vet clinic. So I'll select the relevant categories. If your project is faith-based, you can indicate that here. Next, confirm where your project is taking place. Instrumental matches you with both national and local funding opportunities. Again, I'm selecting Boone County, Kentucky, but you can choose multiple counties or even an entire state if that is applicable to you. Now we're gonna select fields of work. This step is really key. You're going to want to search for keywords that best describe your project. Since mine provides affordable quality pet services, I'll start with animal welfare, and human-animal interactions. These all fit well. I'll also search vet since we have a clinic and veterinary sciences and services is a good match too. I recommend choosing 2 to 5 relevant keywords. Next, set your grant size preferences. I'm going to leave the minimum and maximum blank, but you can specify a range if needed. Then you're going to indicate how the funds will be used to ensure that you're seeing grants that fit your needs. I don't have a capital project, for example, so I'm going to leave that unchecked, but select all the other relevant funding categories. You can also choose the types of funders you want to see. If you're not interested in certain types, you can exclude them. I want to see all available options, so I'll select everything. Once again, I'm going to click Save and Continue. Let's say you have a colleague that you'd like to invite to collaborate with you on this grant writing. You can do that here too. I don't, so I'll click All Done. Just like that, I have 285 grant matches for my animal shelter project. Now, if you didn't get a chance to participate in our grant writing challenge, but you'd still like to try out Instrumental, I do have a link below this video where you can still get a 14-day free trial, and you can check that out and see what grant matches might look like for your organization. A quick note that Instrumental really is best suited for organizations located in the United States or with United States-based chapters that are already grant ready, as we discussed. So let's say you've got some good fit funding opportunities already. Here is where advanced grant writers take it a step further. Being grant ready also means that your organization is ready to receive and execute on the commitments that you made in your grant effectively. Some funders are kind of nervous to grant money to an organization, even if their application sounds good, if it seems like the organization won't actually have the infrastructure, the systems, or the team collaboration in place already to be able to effectively use a grant that they might get. So you really want to prepare your team and your systems to handle grants and potential success before you even apply for grants. How do your programs, your marketing, and your fundraising leaders interact together to write the grants and then execute on the program for more streamlined success? For example, let's say your nonprofit wants to scale its education program. You might start by creating an internal working group with staff from programs, marketing, and development, and then delegating duties out. The programs team tracks student progress, the marketing team translates those into quarterly success stories, you're getting the picture here, and development uses both of those elements for grant proposals and donor updates, so they're all working together. You should find that a more streamlined workflow will actually also increase your grant win rate. Grants aren't won by writing alone, they're won by this great collaboration. When you're writing the needs statement section of your grant proposal, where you are outlining the problem in the community that your nonprofit aims to tackle, it's really important to not just data dump. Even experienced grant writers can fall into this data dump trap. You want to be really careful not to just list statistic after statistic in your application. So yes, include 2 or 3 of your top most compelling stats in your needs statement section of your grant proposal, but then you have to balance it out with brief, authentic, but emotionally resonating stories. So here is one quick example of what that might look like. In Wake County, North Carolina, over 1 in 5 youth are food insecure. One student, Jalen, was regularly falling asleep in class until our weekend backpack program began providing nutritious meals every Friday. Since then, Jalen's attendance and grades have improved significantly. By doing this, you're bringing the data to life. You're showing how it impacts a real human being. Otherwise, sometimes we can kind of get lost in the numbers. So now we're on to the program summary section of your grant proposal. And in this section, you want to describe more than just what you do. We want to write this section to make it obvious that you've designed your solution, your program, specifically for the population that you're trying to serve. I like to think of the example of working families. So if you serve working families, but your nonprofit services only offer support between the hours of 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. on weekdays, are you really reaching the population that you're trying to serve? Because they're working, so they need help after those hours. Here's an example of what it might look like to explain how your program serves your intended population in a grant proposal. Our workforce readiness program is designed for single mothers ages 22 to 40. To accommodate their schedules, we offer job training on evenings and weekends, provide on-site childcare, and include financial coaching for single income households. 90% of participants say these design choices made it possible for them to attend. If you have room in your grant proposal, you might even include a visual showing the journey your beneficiaries or clients go through as they enter and then engage with your nonprofit's program. This could really help illustrate your thoughtful program design. Funders really notice it when you've removed barriers to access, and they reward that thoughtfulness. Keep in mind, funders aren't just asking, what did you do? They're asking, did it work? So when we're writing grants and talking about our past impacts and track records of success in our nonprofits, we really want to make sure we go beyond outputs, aka what you did, to show instead measurable outcomes, aka how successfully those things worked. You also want to talk about what processes or technology you're using to evaluate your programs. Here's what that might sound like written in a grant proposal. Our small business incubator for low-income community members tracks short-term outputs like program completion, 85% last year. Midterm results like business launches, 52% within 6 months, and long-term outcomes like a 40% income increase 2 years after graduation. Data is gathered through our opt-in tax documentation, follow-up surveys, and interviews. Pretty solid. As a recap, the sustainability section of your typical grant application, aka everybody's least favorite parts, is your turn to talk about how you plan to keep revenue coming in to sustain that program after grant funding has run out. And you want to say more than just, oh, we'll find some more donors. You want to show that you have a detailed, thought out plan here in this section. Show funders that you've built or are building the infrastructure to keep your programs going without them. You might talk about how you're diversifying your nonprofit's revenue, or even your organization's past successes in growing revenue after previous investments. Here's what that might sound like in a real grant application. While this grant supports expansion, we're also investing in long-term capacity. We hired a part-time data analyst and upgraded our donor management software to boost donor retention. We're also launching a major gifts campaign and a planned giving pilot this year to ensure sustainability. It's all about diversifying your revenue, investing in staff or systems that will grow your capacity, and proving that you're building resilience. For you more experienced grant writers out there, I hope that you found some useful gems in here. And I hope that you're feeling ready to write your first grant if you are a beginner. I'm curious what questions are on your mind. Share those in the comments. Let's start a little conversation here. And don't forget that I have several other videos on fundraising, grants, and more topics, so check out those on the rest of my channel. Once again, don't forget to check out the rest of my resources at changemakercafe.com, including information about my Changemaker Accelerator membership, where I'm engaging with social impact leaders on creating impactful theory of change models, fundraising strategy, and lots more. So thank you again for watching. I'm Amber Melanie Smith, and I'll see you later.